So there are many different ways that you can get traffic from Facebook. You can either use it for Facebook ads, you can get Facebook likes, Facebook fans to your fan page, and much, much more. But in this specific video, I want to focus on free Facebook traffic pertaining to quality, tightly focused fans over the quantity of fans, because we can easily get as many fans as we can, but if you want to really increase your conversions and so forth, you really have to get into the mindset of, I'd rather have 100 active engaging fans versus 10,000 fans that aren't really doing anything and are not really engaging with each other and with you and with your content. So the key here is, if we can get engaging fans or active fans to your fan page, therefore we can convert those fans into potential sales, or even get your whole other fan base engaged. And once you increase your engagement, you will be able to increase the conversions of your traffic and so forth. So that's what I want to focus on in this specific series. So the whole concept here is to get people to your Facebook fan page, get them engaged, make sure that you're posting content on a frequent basis. And I'm going to answer a lot of questions in the future about what kind of content should you post, how frequently should you post, and things like that. Now, in order for this method to work, you have to understand your audience. You have to understand, who do you want to be part of your Facebook fan page. Now, the reason why we're not necessarily driving people right away from your Facebook fan page to your website is because we want to keep them within the Facebook ecosystem. If we can do that, then we can build a community first, build a relationship, and then you can sell. Because a lot of times people make the mistake of trying to sell up front, and that's not how you do it in Facebook. Now, the strategy here is, in order to get quality active followers and fans, you have to understand your demographic. In other words, you have to understand who you are trying to reach, and you have to understand the exact frame of mind the type of person that you're trying to reach is in. Because if you can understand, what keeps them up at night, what kind of problems they have, and things like that, then your ability of engaging them, understanding how to engage them, how to communicate with them, and how to get them to react in a positive manner to your products or to your niche and so forth. So what I want to do now is, in the next video, we're going to jump to video number 2, and we're going to talk about demographics, how to figure out the demographics of your audience, and as well as understand the frame of mind. Because once you understand this, which is a big step that a lot of people tend to miss out on, if you miss out on this step, then you won't be able to create an engaging community. And that's the whole goal here, is to help you get traffic, but also to get you traffic that converts. So let's jump over to video number 2. Now, before we get to Facebook, I want you to know your demographics. In other words, I want you to have a picture of who you are trying to reach. And the more specific you are, the better. Because the more specific you are, the more you understand the person, how they feel, what the problems they face, and what kind of content, basically, that you can give them. So if you can know your demographics and the frame of mind that they are in, this will help you to increase engagement by providing good content that they want. So how do you do that? Well, there's a specific free tool that I use called quantcast.com. You may or may not have heard of it. But basically, you want to go to QUANTcast.com. So before you go to Facebook, or even if you have a Facebook fan page that you want to promote, I still want you to do this exercise simply because you have to get an idea of the frame of mind that a person is in. So recently, I've been seeing a huge trend about survivalism. Let's say the government takes over, what happens? Or natural disasters, what happens? Do you have food and water and shelter and things like that to survive on? There is a movement called homesteading, and this basically includes people who want to create ways to be able to live without needing, modern day grocery stores or relying on the government to live and things like that. Basically, being able to live independently. Now, if I want to create a Facebook fan page, or let's say I do have a Facebook fan page on that, I want to know what kind of frame of mind and what kind of demographics of the type of person am I trying to reach. Because if you really don't know and you're just guessing, and this is a guessing game, then guess what? Your conversions are going to be a guessing game as well. You're not going to know exactly what type of content to provide your fans. So go to quantcast.com, and that's the reason why we want to use the site. So what I would do is I would type in keywords that relate to that specific niche. So we can type in survivalism and see what we get. So it doesn't look like we have anything here, but if I type in survival, you can see, survival list, which is another keyword. And we see this specific site is getting traffic, but it doesn't give us demographics, which is down below here. So let's keep looking until we find a site that fits our niche and that gives us demographics. Okay, so I finally found a site that fits what we're looking for. And my suggestion to you is, if you can't find a site that fits, let's say for example, survivalism, then look for other keywords that fits that realm, like homesteading or other things like that. So as we can see here, we can actually see the demographics here, and this tells us exactly the type of person so that we can visualize the type of person. And we can actually input this data later down the road if you choose to do Facebook ads or something. But as of now, we're using the data to get an idea of who we want to reach. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up Notepad, and I'm just going to jot this down. Now, as we can see here, looks like males are 101 and female is 99. But it looks like the majority is male. But females are about equivalent as well. So we could say some females, but primarily males. And then the age bracket that seems to be searching for this is primarily 35 years old to 44 years old. Now, that seems to be a very close tie between 35 to 64. So obviously we're seeing a male figure, 35 to 64. Most likely they have possibly families, spouses, and so forth that they might be taking care of, and therefore they want to watch out for. Now, this obviously, I thought maybe more kids, but in actuality it says 114 with no kids. So that's something interesting, because a lot of times we think we know the market, but actually the market is quite opposite of what we think. So as we can see here, the majority seems to be 150K and above. So sounds like high career type males, concerned about the economy maybe, and they may be looking to as a backup plan what to do next. Now, it looks like the majority are college education. And the good thing about Facebook is you can actually target, college education and things like that. Caucasian, it looks like, is the majority, big time majority. And to be honest, I know a good amount of people who fit this criteria and are the survivalism type people. Urban disasters, natural disasters. What do you do in that case kind of thing? So now that I've done my demographics, I can understand and have a better idea of who I'm reaching. Because if you have a better idea of who you're reaching, now you know who to attract, right? There we go. Now, the second question that I want to answer is, how do you know the frame of mind that they are in? Well, I like to see what kind of stuff they are buying. So I tend to go to Amazon to figure that out. If I can get an idea of, okay, now I have demographics, now I want to figure out what do they buy, that will answer my question as to what kind of problems they might have, what kind of solutions they are looking for, and what kind of content I could potentially provide them. So I go to Amazon.com and I type in here survival, and Amazon gives you suggestions, keyword suggestions, and we can see here survival gear, survival kits. And if I type in survivalism, I can actually see how to survive the end of the world, how to shoestring, survivalism, survival handbook. And if I really want to get deep into their mindset, what I'll do is I'll find a product that has really high ratings like this, and I will actually buy it. If they have a Kindle version, that will be helpful, because then I can download the Kindle version right away and just scan through it and have an idea of what kind of content I can provide them. So hopefully this gives you some good ideas on not just demographics, but how to get content and how to figure out the frame of mind. So as you can see, it's super duper easy. I go for the digital Kindles, books, and I figure out more information from that point on. You can also look for other equipment, like things that they buy besides books, just to get a feel for other things that they buy besides the frame of mind. So hopefully that gives you a better idea of demographics and frame of mind. The next thing I want to talk about is we're going to go on and head on to Facebook, and we're going to figure out some groups that are active and get an idea of how we could possibly model some of these groups and get an idea of how active these groups are, because we definitely want to have an engaging community, right? Better engagement, better conversions. So this is going to be a short exercise before we actually find and recruit active fans. But before we do that, we want to go to Facebook, and at the very top, you're going to type in the keyword that relates to your specific Facebook fan page. So remember, we're targeting the frame of mind of a male person, demographic-wise, who is specifically interested in natural disasters, surviving them, bug out bags, what to pack, what to stock up, and things like that. So keeping that in mind, what I want you to do is go to Facebook, and up at the top, enter the keyword. So that's the type of Facebook fan page I'm looking for. You don't want to just type this in and, let's say, pick the first one at the top. For example, this one here. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that the Facebook fan page fits our demographics. And then we'll actually do another test in the next video. But for now, all I want you to do is simply go to Facebook, type in the keyword, and look for a specific fan page that relates to what you are trying to focus on. So as we can see here, this would look more like the survivalists that I'm trying to reach. Be prepared, be self-reliant, be ready. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this up in a new window, and I'm going to open this one up in a new window, and I'm going to do the same thing here, the same thing here. So let's take a look at them. So what we're looking for is how engaging their community is. So as we can see, they don't have a lot of likes. They only have 1,501 likes. But if the community is fairly active within that number itself, that's a good sign. So for example, we see that this site is not necessarily updated as much, but they are getting a lot of likes, they are getting a lot of shares, and they are getting a lot of comments. So what you're looking for is you're taking a look at all the pieces of content and seeing how engaging their community is. So for example, if you only see maybe one piece of content, and that piece of content out of, let's say, 50 pieces of content, only that piece of content is getting likes, shares, and comments, then that might be not a good sign. But if every single piece of content you're looking at has some sort of interaction, that is a good sign. So looks like these guys don't have a whole lot of content, but yet they still have a good amount of engagement, so that's good. This is February 3rd, so that's a lot more recent. So we can see that there is one share, there's a couple likes, there's a couple likes, there's a lot of likes here, there's a lot of comments. So I'm beginning to see that this specific niche is very engaging. Okay, so that's just an interest page. So does that answer my question? Is this an active group? Yes, I can see that this topic is very active. Now, if you are at a point where you're finding that your topic is not as active, I recommend that you keep looking. If those data, those test results come back showing you that it's not as active, then you may want to look at a different niche. So this is a good test to figure it out before you create a Facebook fan page. If you've already created a Facebook fan page, then you can see that you may not necessarily be getting as much engagement. But I want to advise you to make sure to look at as many different Facebook fan pages as possible, because just looking at one is not going to tell you it all. Looking at 10, 30, 40, or even 50 different pages, and they all are very engaging or they're all very not engaging, that tells you a good hunch about the market. So there we go. Now, let's say you have found a niche that is really active. What do you do next? Well, I'm going to talk about that in the next video. Now that you have found engaging and active niches by looking at active groups within Facebook, now it's time to move on to video number 4. We're going to pinpoint and recruit fans. Now, this is the time that we actually build your Facebook fan page and grow it in terms of getting really active fans, because this is where you want to get super high engagement. So assuming that you've already created your Facebook fan page, I'm going to get started and show you exactly what to do. So this strategy is really easy. It just takes about 15 minutes to 30 minutes to an hour a day, depending on how frequently you want to do it. And you can ultimately outsource this, but I recommend that you do this first and foremost so you have a better understanding of how you can do it. And that way you can teach it. So first things first, you want to switch your account so that it shows up as your Facebook fan page. So if you click on this drop down here, or sometimes it'll be a little widget, you can change it and it says use Facebook as your Facebook fan page. So basically what you want to do is you want to switch it to your Facebook fan page. That way, when you communicate with active fans of the other pages, they will see your likes, they will see your comments, and things like that. Now, remember, your goal is not to just get as many fans as you can to your Facebook fan page. Your goal is to get quality fans who are very active, and you usually can tell which person is quite active. They tend to either like or comment. I prefer to go after fans who tend to comment, because it's one thing to like, that shows proactiveness, but it's another thing to actually make a comment. If you find people who make comments, they tend to be vocal, they make cause controversy, but hey, they will engage with you and your content. They are active and they are passionate about a certain subject. So if we go to the site over here, what we can do is we can take a look at the shares, at the comments, and at the likes. And our goal is to figure out, okay, if somebody makes a lot of comments on a frequent basis, what I want you to do is just like their comment and make a comment in reply to their comment. And then message them and say, hey, I saw that you posted so-and-so message on this specific post. So what happens there is, if somebody is already in that frame of mind and they are passionate about that specific topic, then guess what? They're most likely going to join your Facebook fan page. And especially if you reach out to them and message them and say, hey, blah, 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 blah. And that's basically the gist of this method. And what I would suggest that you do is keep doing this so you have a better idea of your audience. And as you grow your fan base, even if it's 25 people or 50 people, the fact of the matter is those people are the types of people that have a high engagement. From that point, if you want to use Facebook ads and use the demographics that I just showed you earlier to build a Facebook ad campaign, you can do that. But the reason why I tell you to do this method first and foremost is because you've built a foundation. You've built a small group of people who are active. So let's say you do use Facebook fans, like Facebook ads, to build your Facebook fans. From that point on, let's say you get 1,000 fans. 1,000 fans come to your site. What are they going to look at? They're going to look at how active your fan base is, because it's contagious. If your fan base is not active at all, nobody's liking it, nobody's commenting on it, they're probably not going to want to comment on it as well. So that's the strategy here. Hey, and welcome to video number 5. We're going to talk about your fan page engagement. In other words, how should you post your content? How frequently should you post your content? And what kind of content should you post? And where can you get some ideas on what type of content to post? Well, let's talk about that. In terms of frequency, you need to ensure that your page has a lot of content before you get a lot of fans to your page. That's why I say focus on the first few that are very engaging first, and then begin to build upon that later down the road. Now, I would recommend maybe about 2 to 3 posts per day. At least 2 to 3 or more per post per day. The more posts you have, the more engagement you're likely going to get. Now, keep in mind that not all the posts that you post are going to be viewed by everyone. And you can always use Facebook post boosts. That means you boost a specific post so that just about everybody sees your post. Now, I don't really recommend that until you actually grow your fan base to a larger base. So we're starting small and we're building upon that. Now, in terms of what kind of content you should post, well, if we take a look at the survivalist niche, we can see here that there are very extreme cases. There's really extreme a case on one side that posts a lot of different types of content. And then we have the type of survivalism on like how to open a can without a can opener, or tools of any kind such as this, or how to do homesteading and live independently without the need for the government and for things of that nature. Or if natural disasters happen, what can you do? How can you survive? And things like that. So you want to get an idea of what kind of content you want to focus on. So in this case, let's say I want to create a Facebook fan page specifically focused on helping people survive natural disasters. What can they do? How can they live independently? And so forth. So what I would normally do is I would go through Facebook fan pages as such, find the most engaging posts and post something similar. Now, I don't recommend that you copy them, but do something similar of that nature. Because instead of reinventing the wheel, you have something that is already proven to you that works. Now, in terms of getting more content, I would revisit Amazon.com, specifically Kindle books. Now, if you take a look at Kindle books, for example, this book here that says Shoestring Survivalism, How to Prepare for Bad Times on a Budget. So if we click on this Kindle edition here, and we just take a look at the table of contents, we can get a better idea of what kind of content that we can create. So what I recommend that you do, don't copy this. That's plagiarism. That's not right. But I recommend that you take a look at different books, jot it down, maybe print this here out right here, and then take a look at the other books. Compare apples to apples. Get an idea of these books within the niche. What are they all saying? What are they all not saying? Even read the comments. See if you can find complaints. People might say, well, I like this book, but it didn't necessarily cover this, this, and this. So jot that down. What is this, this, and this? If you can see a pattern between all of these books that a lot of people are saying, okay, they're not necessarily saying this, I'm still frustrated because I don't have the answers to the specific questions. If that's the case, guess what? You could build your own report. You could write up your own report, give it away as a freebie to build your list or to get people to your Facebook fan page. So that in itself is a great way to build a lot of engagement, a lot of content that people really want, especially if other people, other authors are not covering that content. So I hope you learned a lot in this specific video. It's really basic, but it's really powerful if you do it right. So congratulations, you've reached the end of this video series and you understand the method, but you understand that it does take time. So for those of you who have less time and you want to be able to outsource this, well, I want to show you exactly how to do that. Well, it's easy to outsource it and automate or semi-automate the process. Now that you understand how it works, what I recommend that you do, as I said earlier, is to actually do it for yourself for about a week. Once you have a better understanding of your market and how to go about doing this, then I guarantee you that you will learn things along the way. While you learn things along the way, it is easier for you to pinpoint someone who will be good and someone who you can teach exactly what to do. Because a lot of people make the mistake of just, okay, this is a great idea, I'm going to outsource it. And then they don't understand the process and without doing so, make the mistake of hiring somebody who really doesn't know what they're doing. So that's the best way to teach it. Do it first, then teach it, and you'll be able to find somebody who will do a good job. Now, I recommend a site called odesk.com. And it looks like this. If you go to this page and you go to hire freelancers, you will see a search box, which will allow you to search for people who might be good for this. Now, I personally like to find somebody who is passionate about the topic that my Facebook fan page is all about. So if you find somebody who may not necessarily agree with your Facebook fan page, whether it's the idea, the concept, or anything, and then just getting them to do it is not going to help at all, because guess what? They're not passionate about the idea. Therefore, the engagement with the other Facebook fans that are active fans may not go as well. Now, how do you do that? How do you find somebody who is interested in your topic? Well, it's easy. What I recommend that you do is you post a job. You specifically say, hey, all I need is for somebody for an hour a day who has passion in this area, who is passionate about this area. Now, there are many people out there who are good at social media, and you can type in social media. You don't necessarily have to find somebody who is in the realm of social media, but you want to find somebody who is good at communicating. So one little tidbit is to communicate with those people who apply on the job and see how well they communicate. Are their language, in whatever your language that you're looking for, is it good? Or is it unreadable? Or do the way that they talk, they don't understand what you're saying and things like that. So that's really how to gauge it, is by communicating with them yourself. And that way you figure out from that point, okay, they're good at talking, they're good at communicating. How can I find somebody who is passionate? Now, most likely you're going to find somebody who is either really passionate, or they're not necessarily passionate, but they know a little bit about the idea and it really intrigues them. If it intrigues them, that's a good sign as well. I would not find somebody, if you can't find somebody who is either passionate or possibly is passionate or interested in the idea, because that could actually hurt you down the road. Now, with Odesk, I like it because it's really easy to find people here. And the way you do it is you type in a keyword and you can search by feedback score. So usually I'll choose somebody with 4.5 and above. So we'll click on this. And basically what Odesk does is it narrows people down. So we could change it to, let's say, hourly rate, no more than $5, because what we're asking is just somebody to go on a Facebook fan page, find active users, find active fans, communicate with them, and that's it. Not too complex. Now, from this point, I normally choose at least 1 hour, because I don't really want anyone who is a new account unless they're referred by somebody else that I know. And any location is fine. So from that point, you can post a job and see the applicants, see how they communicate with you and so forth, all the stuff that I discussed, and use your due diligence. And you can give them a test, see how they work. If they don't do well, delete them from your Facebook admin and go find somebody else. Now, when you give them admin rights, make sure that they only have the ability to really post or write. You don't really want to give them rights to delete your Facebook fan page, for example. So you want to make sure that you find somebody trustworthy and that they are liking their work, which is crucial, because if they like their work, the output of the work that they are doing will be a lot better. So there you go.